Hello, boys and girls. Welcome back to another episode of Cut the Shit, Get Fit. I am your lovely host, Rafał Matuszewski, and today is another edition of my car vlog podcast thing. It's finally sunny here in British Columbia, Canada, out where I am in Surrey/Langley. Can't complain other than with this weather, people are now going outside and exposing themselves to this COVID bullshit. So stay safe out there, people. Stay home. Watch Disney Plus. Go watch Sleeping Beauty, Pocahontas, Mulan, all the classics to lift your spirits up and have you glued at home while watching this or listening to this. I'm going to do some shout outs, but I definitely forgot the cities, but I have the states. So the number one state listening to my show right now is California. Shout out to everyone in California. I absolutely miss Disneyland. I really want to go, and I'm hoping that Bob Iger, or Eager, however you want to say his name, comes back with a vengeance and figures out how to get Disney back on track and opening up their parks. Number two, we've got the state of Illinois. Shout out to everyone out that way listening to my show. Super awesome. And number three, the state of New Jersey. Shout out to everyone in New Jersey. By the way, naming all these states reminds me of I challenged my wife, well, we worked as a team to try to name all the 50 states. And I think we got up to like 37. And the rest we just couldn't remember. But then when we looked up all the answers, we were like, oh, Delaware. How did I miss that? Right? So all those small ones out on the East Coast and the Midwest, we just couldn't remember. So all the Canadians listening, or even all the Americans listening, try to sit down and name all the states without looking at a map. I think that would be a good challenge. The other good challenge, though, is Einstein's riddle, where you have to figure out the 5 houses, what color they are, what drinks the 5 people live in their drink, what pets do they have, and things like that. My wife and I did that and were able to figure it out. So definitely a good thing to play around with during this time, where if you're staying at home, have nothing to do, it's definitely a good exercise to try out. So let's get this show on the road. A topic I want to cover today is judgment. And it came to me the other day, and I was just thinking about how important it is not to be judgmental to yourself when it comes to fitness and health, right? If you think about it on a daily basis, I think all of us are judgmental to our core. Before this whole COVID thing, imagine if you were at the mall and you see someone walking by, how quickly you judge that person based on what they're wearing, how their hair is, what kind of shoes they're wearing, how they walk, how they talk, and how they present themselves. It's pretty scary how that happens, right? I don't know if men or women do it more often, or it just depends on the situation. For a woman, you look at everything the woman is wearing, the size she is, how tall she is, we judge like crazy. And I think for guys, when they're jealous or their ego kicks in, they start judging the crap out of other dudes, right? So most likely when we practice this dirty habit of judging others, it probably makes sense that we judge ourselves so quickly when it comes to anything. Think about all these times where you don't believe in yourself because you're already judging that, I'm probably going to fail, I'm probably not going to do well, I'm probably going to do X, Y, and Z. So when it comes to fitness and health, you're already 2 points at like you're losing already, knowing that you're going to judge yourself poorly on your efforts, right? The moment you start training and start following a healthier routine, you're going to start looking at yourself in the mirror, and what are you going to do? You're going to judge every single inch of your body. You're going to judge how terrible it is, how it's not this, it's not that, it's X, Y, and Z. Like, really think about it. Every time you have to measure up on your health, you're going to judge the shit out of yourself to the point where everything you're doing comes into question. So if you self-assess yourself in this situation, maybe you'll have the self-awareness to be like, holy shit, every time I wake up and look at myself in the mirror, I'm like, oh my God, like my neck is too fat, my waist is too big, my thighs are way too big, my ankles are too fat. Which, by the way, side note, I had a client who was prepping for a figure show and she complained that her ankles were too fat. I'm like, everyone's ankles, unless you're like 300 pounds, are really freaking lean. Like, if you go grab your ankle skin and not even fat around your ankle joint, like the malleolus, like it's skin and bone. There's nothing there. So for me to hear a woman that was like probably 12 or 11 body fat percentage at the time to say that her ankles were fat, I was like, what? Right? So that's an extreme example where the sport of figure and bodybuilding is based on, how you look, and people judge you on that, right? So, yeah, we need to give ourselves a little bit of a breathing room on this kind of stuff. If we're hardwired to judge ourselves, like, there's no hope. No hope. You take a person that used to be overweight, that had lost like 80, 100 pounds, and you tell them that, oh my God, like, you look amazing, you did this and that, they will most likely, probably 99% of the time, be like, yeah, but like this doesn't, is not lean enough, or like I wish I lost, like I need to lose another 10 pounds. Like, it's never good enough. Like, when is it good enough? Right? Like, when is it? And I think a lot of people end up thinking that in order to be successful at this whole weight loss thing, you need to look a certain way. And we always end up thinking that it has to be that six-pack shredded person on a magazine cover in order to be successful. But if you think about it this way, that those people are like the 1% of the population that train. And remember, you got to think about it this way, that they get paid to look like that. That's their livelihood. So hell yeah, they're going to want to look like that a lot, right? It's equivalent to like, hey, I like to play basketball in my free time. I'm okay at it, but I don't kill myself that I am not as good as a professional basketball player. That is exactly the same thing. And when I put it into that perspective, people are like, oh, shit. So now their mind set changes a little bit to a different version of what success actually looks like, right? So if everyone was hard-pressed that they're not as good as a professional basketball player when they play, and they practice, they don't get any better, but their skills improve a little bit, they're better than most of the people they play with, like, and they still are not happy, and they're like, fuck it, I'm gonna stop playing basketball, I'm never gonna do this again. Like, it seems ridiculous, right? But those are the expectations when it comes to fitness and health. Like, if we don't look a certain way, and most people who are thinking successful, aesthetically pleasing and looks are what a magazine cover looks like, or how, Chris Evans looked as a Captain America, or any of those actors and actresses, then it's like, you need to come down to earth and be realistic with yourself. Like, your version of success has to be a little bit different. If you're judging yourself constantly that you don't look like Scarlett Johansson in the Avengers, then you need to kind of rethink your life, right? Like, no one has beat themselves up because they don't play basketball as well as LeBron James. Unless you were like literally trying to make the NBA draft. But most people don't go down that length. But people getting into fitness and health, they automatically assume that if they don't look like Scarlett Johansson, Chris Hemsworth, Chris Evans, or any of those guys, then they're failures at life, which makes no sense, you know? Like, really think about that. So, to kind of wrap this up, to keep it nice and short, is that we are so hardwired to judge ourselves. And most importantly, it all started with us judging others. So a lot of times when it comes to success in life, in any aspect, is to figure out our inner workings, like what's going on the inside, and that affects so many other facets in our life. So who would have thought that you figuring out why you're being such a judgmental person towards others is going to affect your success at fitness and health, right? Like, it's usually two things that don't match up that have huge effects on it. So if you take the time to work on yourself in here, it's most likely going to affect other aspects of your life. So really, really think about that going into this week, next week, and maybe that's one of the challenges you're going to focus on during this COVID time where you have time to reflect. So I'm going to end it there. Thank you guys for listening. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for the support. Reach out to me if you have any questions. Hit the show notes. Add me on Facebook. Add me on Instagram. Because I post a lot of good content, both picture and video form. So that's it for me. Share this podcast with friends and family. Give me a 5-star review and all that fun stuff. Till next time, you guys.